Hello everyone, my name is Jason and I am an ISFP. Thank you so much for watching. This video is the 9th video in my series called Defining the Core Purpose of each of the 16 types. This is the 9th one. And the purpose of this series has really been to look at the motivation, the heart, the core motivation of why each type thinks the way they think, why they act the way they act, why they do the things that they do. And in this video, the 9th video in the series, I'm going to be looking at the ENFP. And I'm pretty excited about this one because I really like ENFPs a lot. The ENFPs that I know are just really awesome people. They're very similar in many respects to INFPs, but with a few real core differences. And I love INFPs so much, and I love ENFPs so much. I think they're both great, and their uniqueness from one another just adds a slight twist on the way each of them sees the world, and it's just fantastic. So my methodology in this series, in case you haven't seen any of the previous videos, has been as follows. I have discovered theories that different people have come up with that attempt to sort of group personality types into groups based on some similarities. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking these different theories, at least the ones in this video that the ENFPs fall into, and I'm sort of laying them on top of one another to see if when these different groupings, these different definitions, these different theories are placed together, whether or not they can be sort of drilled down to a little bit more of a core definition, a look, if you will, at what most motivates the ENFP in this case to think like they think and to be like they are. So let's get started. One of the groupings that the ENFP falls into is that of the EP. Now, EPs can be grouped together in at least one way, and that is that they have as their primary and most core human need the need for variety, the need for bringing in the new, for gathering in that which they do not currently have or that which they have not previously brought into their known existence. It is very important for EPs not to be caught in stagnant waters, not to be caught in a rut that leads them into a situation where they are just re-experiencing the same over and over and over again. Now, for the ENFP, they have this deep need for variety or for the branching out, the reaching out, if you will, to some extent into the unknown and gathering in that which they've never gathered before. Now, how do ENFPs gather? And what do they gather? And why do they gather it? Why are ENFPs all about bringing in new? And what new are they wanting to bring in? And how do they go about it? Well, it is different. This need to bring in the new presents itself differently and functions differently and for different reasons in all four of the different EPs. So with the ENFP, we can figure out the answers to those questions by looking at a couple of the other groupings that ENFPs fall into. So one of the groupings that ENFPs fall into is that of the NF. And one theory or definition about NFs is that they are those who value things in the abstract world. So where do ENFPs go to gather in the new? Well, I'm not suggesting that ENFPs have no desire to gather in new physical experiences in the real world. But ENFPs value things in the abstract world. They value ideas. They are going largely into the realm of the abstract, the realm of the ideological, to find, to look for, to bring in new ideas. With their extroverted intuition as their lead function, they are envisioning and reaching out into the land of the unknown in the abstract world, the unknown concepts, the unknown ideas. For the ENFP, there are always new and great and amazing thoughts that they have not yet thought, and they are looking to discover those thoughts. They're looking to reach out into the land of the theoretical, the land of the ideology, and bring in new ideas that they have not previously pondered, that they have not previously considered. They have a need to fulfill the need. I guess that's a little redundant to say it that way, but they are on a mission to fulfill their need for variety by bringing in new ideas. Now, if we contrast that a little bit with like let's say an ESFP would be fulfilling their need for variety through physical experiences in the physical world. And again, I'm not saying an ENFP wouldn't want to do that or wouldn't enjoy that. But if all an ENFP did was try to fulfill their need for variety and try to gather in the new through physical experiences, I think they would be left feeling a little bit empty. They would enjoy what they've done, but would not have really accomplished the heart and soul of what they were trying to do, which is not to just gather in new sights and sounds and experiences and, photographs from vacations and things like that, though those things are nice. I think their goal is to gather in new ideas, new concepts, new theories, to look out into the world of not just the physical unknown, like to say, well, I've never been to France, so it's a physical place that's unknown to me, I'm going to go there, but rather the theoretical unknown. I've never thought that thought before. I've never read that idea before. And they're bringing in these new ideas partially for the purpose of fulfilling their need for variety, but I think there's more to it than that. Because there's another grouping that I've found that ENFPs fall into, and it's also an NF grouping, but it's an NF grouping that comes from a different theory and has a different definition, and that is the NF grouping that is defined as the idealist. When we look at our world, we can see many things that are good, that are functioning well, and that have brought into our existence a measure of goodness, a measure of happiness. We can look at these things and we can say the system that is in place, the ideas that have come before have produced some good. But let's face it, we can also look at the existing systems that we've been born into and the existing ideologies that have gone before us, and we can see flaws. We can see breakdowns in our systems. We can see breakdowns in our societies. We can see places where things are not right, where there is still pain, where there is still trouble, where there is still conflict, where things are not as good as they could be. I think the ENFP, as an idealist or having an idealist mind, looks at these things that are not right and says, I firmly believe that we can do better. As human beings, we can make this better. We can, if not completely eradicate these problems and create a utopia, we can at the very least put a dent in these problems and make things better tomorrow than they are today. The ENFP can look at the current structure of things and all of the ideologies that built those structures, that led to things being the way they are. And the ENFP can say, I can see in these things where they break down, where there are flaws in them. And the idealist NF mind of the ENFP says, I want to fix it. I want to see if we can't make it right. Well, how will they go about making that right? Well, with their need for variety, I think the ENFP says that there is an answer. There is somewhere an idea or a group of ideas, many ideas perhaps. Extroverted intuition is looking for many ideas. There could be many ideas that if we could just search them out and find them. Then we could analyze these ideas, and all NFs value things in the abstract world. They value ideas. The NFP is saying if we could just bring into our currently known a variety of unknown ideas, thoughts that have never been thought before. And if we could then go through all of these amazing thoughts that have never been thought before, the variety of concepts and ideas, we can find within those ideas those that we can truly value. And if we can then spread those ideas, and if we can lobby for those ideas, and if we can be champions of those ideas, then we can implement them and we can resolve many of the issues of the old ideas that have failed us. We can create, to some degree, more than what we have now, a more idealistic society, a more idealistic situation. I think the ENFP is looking at the known, all of the concepts, all of the things that have gone before, and says, yes, there's some good in that. But we clearly see there are still problems in it. And the NF idealist says we can do better. And the NF, those who value things in the abstract world, says, and we can do better by finding the ideas that will usher in that better situation, that better society, that better world. And where will we find those ideas? We will find them in the variety. We must not limit ourselves. I think the ENFP would probably say we must not limit ourselves to just one idea or to the same ideas of the past that have simply led us to where we are now with all of the problems that we have now. But rather, we must have a variety of ideas. Remember, the ENFP needs variety. The ENFP needs to not be stuck in the same, in the known, in the doldrums and the boredom of what has gone before, because all of that, first of all, it doesn't fulfill that need for variety. And second of all, I think the ENFP can look at it and say there are problems with it. I see problems with what I have inherited, with the society that I've been born into, the situation that I've been born into, and the ideas that have been handed down to me by those who have gone before. It is in the variety that the EPs find their fulfillment. But for the ENFP specifically, it is in the variety of ideas and concepts. And more specifically, it is in not only bringing in a variety of ideas and concepts, but figuring out within that variety which ones to value. And why? Because by bringing in a variety of ideas, figuring out which ones to value, we can bring about a more idealistic world than the one we currently live in. I think ENFPs are awesome. One of the things that I love about ENFPs is that I always feel like when I'm speaking with ENFPs, they are listening. And I think the reason that they're listening is because they're always on the lookout for an idea that they haven't thought before. If I'm talking to an ENFP, I know I'm being heard. I know that ENFP is listening and saying, okay, I really want to analyze what I'm hearing here because there might be an idea in this that I can really value. An idea that if put into practice, if added into my known ideas, could maybe lead to a more idealistic life for me, for my family, for my loved ones, or even for the whole society, or even for the whole world. My next door neighbor is in ENFP, and I so enjoy hanging out with him. In fact, last night I went over to his house. He's got like a big outdoor theater set up in his backyard. It's really cool. And we watched a movie together last night. And I look forward to the times that I get to spend with him because he's such a dreamer in a way, but a dreamer with a purpose, a dreamer that has something that he wants to see come to fruition because of the dreaming. Not just dreaming for the sake of dreaming, but dreaming for the sake of finding an idea that if implemented could do something great in this world. It's really quite inspiring. I get inspired by ENFPs very similarly to the way I get inspired by INFPs. I think that ENFPs and INFPs, first of all, I think that those two types are two of the hardest to tell apart. You really have to see some fine differences. And I also think that they're two of my favorite and the most awesome types in this world. So as an ISFP, I encourage you, if you are an ISFP and you don't have an ENFP friend in your life, you really should consider trying to locate one. I mean, I know that's easier said than done. It's not like there's a website, ENFP friend locator or .com or anything, although that would be cool. But if you can, find yourself an ENFP and spend some time with them because they're really awesome people. I hope that you found this video to be useful or at least entertaining in some way. If you did, please give it a like. I do sincerely appreciate you watching this video, and I would very much appreciate your comments. I also would ask that you would subscribe if you are not subscribed already. To all of you who have subscribed already, thank you so much. And if you have not, please do so. That would mean the world to me. It would be a great benefit to me, and I would appreciate it greatly. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves an awesome day. Bye now.